What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Buck with you. Buck, how we doing?
Man, we're good, DJ. We're in it. I don't know if it's game week for your son this week, but
Thursday, man. We're out in the desert. We're out in Palm Desert on Thursday.
Oh, who y'all playing in Palm? Oh, you tell me.
I think Palm Desert. I think it's going to be like 105.
Oh, hydrate.
That's what I told him. Hydrate. Shoot, I'm tempted to go get the man some IVs. Like, good night.
Yeah,
you guys play Friday?
Yeah, same thing. I am Thursday night.
Thursday night. Nice.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go? Are we going to throw it this year or no?
Yeah, we're going to throw it. Maybe the last half of the year, we'll throw it a little more.
Okay.
Last half. Yeah, we're going to throw it, though. We can throw it around the yard. I can't say it's going to be air raid, but maybe a handful of throws every now and then.
This is my favorite part of the fall is just waking up on a Saturday morning and looking at the Granada Hills Charter box score. My favorite. So,
speaking of the fall, you turned me on to the Netflix series. I can't stop watching.
Oh, is it unbelievable?
I can't stop watching any given Saturday. like DJ, it is so great. And I love ball. And look, I'm an ACC guy. I played in the ACC, but I'm be honest with you. Going behind the scenes in the SEC,
different animal.
It's just a different animal. The intensity, the way they get down, the highs and the lows, the way the coaches are. And I'm gonna say this, and I consider Brian Kelly a friend. The frustration that he exhibits coaching that team, right? Like watching him coach that team. I'll say this, and maybe they turn it around this year. I just don't know if it's a great fit, like in terms of like how he goes and how they. I just don't know if it's a great mesh when I think about what he was and how many times he sat on our program at Notre Dame and how he talked and the kids that he I just don't know if it meshes, especially after seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff that they were dealing with. I don't know, but this is great, man. Shane Beamer stuff, Clark Lee and Vanderbilt. I just love it, man. I just love the access because that's what draws you in. And I absolutely see what you talk about. Diego Pavia.
What I'm saying.
Like, he might not be a pro, but I certainly would be intrigued.
I'd hire him
by having that personality, because when you talk about the thing that we have said has become the new thing that everyone is looking for, the secret sauce, the love it factor is there with him.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a fantastic series, and it just gets you fired up for college football, which is coming up this weekend. By the way, I wasn't scheduled to do this, and we're going to get to the NFL stuff in a second. I peeked. I called a couple guys. I couldn't help myself, and I was like, "Hey, give me a couple names of some college kids. Like before the season starts, who could I get fired up on that maybe is not getting, a ton of buzz, but like who's a good player?" And so I can spin through it real quick. So there is a tight end, Buck, at Ohio State, transfer from Purdue, Max Clare. So you're going to see that big first game, Ohio State, Texas, and it's going to be Jeremiah Smith, and they got the freshman quarterback Julian Sayin. You got some of their stars, Caleb Downs on the defensive side of the ball. I'm just telling you, don't be surprised if we come back together after that game and we're sitting there going like, dude, that tight end from Ohio State's pretty dang good, man. He is really good.
Yeah, like it's funny, man. You talk about the rich getting richer. I love this part. Like it's funny, DJ, because we always are in tune with the college game because of the draft and those things. But it's a little harder with everyone bouncing around in those things. But there is still something. You talk about the Athlon magazines or seeing all the magazines that would be in the drugstores or when you go into the airport, the college previews. There's still something about the college game that is magical and mystical.
No question.
Like, I just love that part of it. We talk about playing the video game. I'll play the college football game because there's so many different styles and ways about going about it. There's just nothing like college football. Nothing. There's nothing that I can find that matches that energy, intensity, and the fandom that people bring each and every weekend.
Well, you're just not going to see NFL games. You're not going to see a pan of the crowd, and you're not going to see people crying during regular season games. Tears, Buck, flowing. I mean, living and dying every single week. It's unbelievable, man.
It's everything. The rivalry games, the just all of it. Like, just people talk about the pageantry, and there's some hokey pokiness to it, but there's nothing
like literally like the Tennessee Titans had the number 1 pick, and they could go out and beat the Philadelphia Eagles, who won the Super Bowl, and nobody's tearing down the goalposts or storming the field. Buck, ho hum. Who do we play next week?
No, none of it. None of the, you talk about rushing the field. None of the, I mean, look, I'll be honest, like watching those coaches go through it,
Whew.
every game is like a Maalox smasher.
Yeah,
Like
everybody that thinks those guys are so grossly overpaid and it's insane. Go watch that series and see what goes on behind the scenes, man.
living and dying with the
Taking
Dubs.
years off their life.
Sam Pittman. I guess Shane Beamer's wife talks about not wanting to go out when they lose.
Yeah, just stay in the house.
I'm gonna stay in the house all week. We gonna just we're gonna have the groceries delivered.
Yeah,
that's a different animal.
No question. All right, let's get some NFL stuff. It's time for Hot or Not, brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. We got a couple starters named. We've got Joe Flacco named in Cleveland, and then the one that came down a little bit before we started recording here was the Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Jones. I don't think either one of us are surprised in the least with either one of those. I guess maybe nationally, or some fans maybe, thought, oh, maybe they'll go with Richardson because he's just a high pick. I never thought that, and to me, this was inevitable.
This was a mere formality. Like I knew Daniel Jones, or I expected Daniel Jones to be the starting quarterback from the jump. As soon as he got signed, given the pressure that is on the head coach and the general manager to win, you don't go and get Daniel Jones and pay him the money that you paid him and expect him to be the backup. And then when Anthony Richardson opened the door, I mean, through no fault of his own, maybe some would say, but maybe through his fault, not being able to understand the protection, when he goes to the sideline with the dislocated finger, I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. Roll out the red carpet. Here comes Danny Dimes to be the starting quarterback. And then in Cleveland, I think this is a case of just the familiarity, the confidence, the trust that you have in, look, the guy who led you to the playoffs 2 seasons ago played really well down the stretch. You've seen him thrive in your offense. And even though the paper says that he's 40, your eyes tell you what you saw 2 years ago when he got this offense up and going. It's not a surprise. The mystery to me is going to be who's QB2. Because when Kevin Stefanski says they're not keeping 4 quarterbacks,
did he actually come out and say they're not keeping 4?
He didn't. He intimated that they weren't going to keep 4 quarterbacks. But I mean, how do you keep 4? If you keep 4, I mean, I can understand it because I'm gonna be honest with you, DJ. You have a rookie as your backup quarterback behind Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's 40. I mean, even though we talked about it going well, he's a play away from a rookie kind of holding all of their hopes. Are we confident that Dylan Gabriel or Shadur Sanders is ready for that role, those responsibilities? But then the other thing is, all right, Kenny Pickett hasn't played the entire preseason. Like, how do we make a decision on it? It's hard.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what happens with it, man. Yeah, this was the quote Gavin, who's producing for us now, hit in the chat. I'd like to keep everybody, but not realistic. So interesting nonetheless. My thing is, I just still don't know where Kenny Pickett, how that works and fits in there, because I don't know, I don't want this to sound harsh, but if they cut Kenny Pickett and keep the 2 rookies, as you say, right? Because you want to keep, you don't want to lose the rookies. You want to keep developing them and working with them. If something happened to Joe Flacco, can you go out on the street and find someone that's at least of similar ability to Kenny Pickett, at least in that range? I mean, there's going to be guys that are going to be available and be cut here. There's going to be guys that are put on practice squad, veteran guys, but is there not going to just be a veteran stopgap that if those rookies weren't ready to play, you can go on the street? I mean, they did it when they brought in Joe Flacco the first time.
I mean, I guess you can do that, but is like that the way that you really want to operate? I guess
there's no, I mean, I go back to the Indianapolis Colts and the Peyton Manning years and Tom Moore. And Tom Moore's the offensive coordinator. They asked him, how do you divvy up the reps? And he said, I give Peyton Manning 100% of the reps. And they said, well, what happened? Why don't you give the backups anything? Because what if something happens to Peyton Manning? He goes, if something happens to Peyton Manning, we're screwed. I don't want to practice being screwed. So that was his kind of like famous line there, like that. Okay, yeah, if emergency, well, we're done. Like if Joe Flacco can't play and we have to play rookies, then maybe they're looking at that saying, well, that's not going our way anyway. So it is what it is.
I mean, that's just bad. That's just hope is a bad strategy.
I
mean, let's hope nothing goes wrong. I think that's a bad strategy. I just I would like
their
to think
thing
that,
is we're not going to cut one of these rookies because they have upside and promise, and we need to roster both of them because we don't know what they are yet. Whereas with Kenny, yeah, he's still young, he hasn't played a ton. There's still growth there, but I think he's a little bit more known. So wouldn't you rather work and develop the unknown? I don't know. That's a tricky situation there. But to answer the original question, no surprise at all that Joe Flacco's a starter. They didn't really have a choice.
No, they didn't have a choice either way. So in both situations, DJ, I think they were stating the obvious. Now that we know, I think the conversation in both cases, we've talked about Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders enough. We know that the Browns are in rebuild mode, identification mode when it comes to a franchise quarterback. But for the Colts, I don't know what this means for Anthony Richardson. He's talked about he's one play away. I got to presume I'm one play away from being a starting quarterback again. But man, this has to be very disappointing if you're the organization. 4th overall pick, hasn't been able to stay on the field. And when he has been on the field, it's been madly inconsistent. Where do we go from here? And this is one where, DJ, every action causes a reaction. This is one where it was tools over performance and production.
And even experience.
And the tools haven't won out right now. So what does that mean for the next toolsy player that comes out that doesn't have the stuff? Because it hasn't really gone well for the toolsy guys, right? We can talk about Anthony Richardson. In a way, you can talk a little bit about Trey Lance with the lack of experience, but the tools that you saw, we've just seen experience matters. Doesn't necessarily work in Kenny Pickett's favor, but for a lot of the guys that have had immediate success and sustained success, they played a lot of college game, and those reps translated into success.
I think even though these guys had played a lot, I think that this all goes back to Mahomes and Josh Allen, of guys who were freak show talents, still needed to be developed, still needed, work to be done there at the next level, and they hit massively. You've got MVPs, you've got Super Bowls, obviously, with Mahomes. So I think that talent over everything has still carried on for a long time. But I mean, like Zach Wilson hadn't played a ton, but had a lot of raw talent. Mm-hmm. Trey Lance hadn't played a ton, had a lot of raw talent. Like we can go all through the list of guys here. Anthony Richardson's just one of the latest here. But I think it's why you can't just have universal rules. You've got to evaluate each of these guys individually, and you got to evaluate the person as much as the player, Buck.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do that. You have to. We talk about it's the intangibles. It's the qualities on the inside. It's how you show up to work every day. It's how much do you love it, and does your love translate into these actions and habits that we want to see from an elite player? Meaning, you show up early, you stay late, you do all the film, you do all the other stuff that you need to do in the building and away from the building to put yourself in a position to succeed and play at a high level when you get your chance. Because if I am an evaluator, if I'm a decision maker, look, man, I'll go down with someone who is like that, right? If someone gives me everything, they pour everything into it and it doesn't work out. But if you're a talented guy and the work hasn't been there, well, now I have no place for you because you haven't given me a hard day's work that I can back you and support you when all of the criticism comes through. I think now more than ever, you better find guys that love it and their actions match their words when it comes to saying they love it.
So if I was advising Anthony Richardson, if I was a friend, an agent, a parent, whatever, this is the two pieces of advice I would give him. Number one, there's still, I would say, greater than 50% chance that either due to injury or performance, you're going to get another opportunity on this Colts team this year. So, do not let up. Stay up with your preparation. Get ready to go because you're more than likely going to get another opportunity there. If you're on this roster, I would think that's, the odds of either Daniel Jones getting nicked up or Daniel Jones having some performance issues. There's a good chance you get a chance to play again this year. So you better be ready for it. The second thing I would tell you is thinking from a long-term perspective, Buck, we've now seen it. We've seen it with Baker Mayfield, with Sam Darnold, with Geno Smith. This is not the end of your journey, man. Like you have everything still to accomplish. You're still very young. I've seen it and I think Trey Lance is in year 5. Trey Lance looked like a different human being under Jim Harbaugh and with the Chargers. He's got a chance. Yeah, look, if if he doesn't get an opportunity next year to go compete somewhere, I'd be surprised just with the flashes that he's shown and the improvement that he's shown this year. So it's not over is what I'm getting at with Anthony Richardson.
No, and when you're someone that's drafted as high as he was, you can get multiple bites at the apple because one man's trash is another person's treasure. And the thing that you have with him, we talk about the tools and the traits, there's always going to be someone that is willing to take on a quarterback project, particularly as an off-season thing. Let's be honest, so you don't get bored, right? If you have a veteran quarterback who is well established and is doing his thing, you want someone in the building that you can start to work with and build on, and maybe you get a cheap option. You see it right now when you're looking at Trey Lance and what he's been able to do with the Chargers and how he's grown and how that kind of invigorates everyone that is touching the quarterback because you have Justin Herbert there. There's a path for him, but I'm going to say this. Anthony Richardson should pay close attention to how Daniel Jones goes about doing his work and really master the art of being a professional. I would start there. I would say master the art of being professional. Watch what his routine is as he gets ready for a game week, because he's been in this for a long time. What can I steal from his routine or how he goes about his work week? Because we always ask those questions to quarterbacks. Hey, what's your week look like? How do you get ready to play? Maybe, and let's be fair, maybe Anthony Richardson needs someone to model that for him so he can take that in and have his own process. I've heard Alex Smith talk about how Chase Daniel passed along Drew Brees' program and process for getting ready and how he showed that to Pat Mahomes and how it goes. We all have to figure out a way to prepare how to play. And once we get that routine, it allows us to play at a high level.
Yeah, you need to continue to grow even if you're not on the field. So that's a good challenge there to Anthony Richardson. All right, that was this week's Hot or Not segment brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Store more and do more with your data. Try them for free at wasabi.com. All right, Bucks, I was watching the Bears the other night, and everybody saw Caleb Williams look great. Look, Bajent came in. He looked great. It's a different looking offense with Ben Johnson. I don't want to read too much into the preseason, but there is something to get to with what that looks like. And then also did some study and some homework on the Seahawks and watched their first two games offensively with Clint Kubiak at the helm. Sam Darnold's in there. They've upgraded that offensive line. Gray Zabel's playing lights out. But the topic I want to hit you on is just how important it is marrying your scheme with your talent. And at least from the preseason, these look like great fits in Chicago and Seattle.
Okay, I got to say this, man, because I did a deep dive on Caleb Williams yesterday. Like I just watched all the throws, watched how they operated. So I watched the cut up and then I watched the game in action. And I'm going to say, DJ, you're right. You talk about marrying a system to suit the talents of the player. That's what the Bears have done. And I know what people will say. Hey, they're playing against the backups and those things. And as we say, the preseason doesn't count, but it does matter. You want to see noticeable progress and strides from your top players, particularly young quarterbacks. And what I saw is Ben Johnson put Caleb Williams in an offense that suits his talents. They went up on the center early, saw a little bootleg come out to play to his athleticism. In the offseason, they went and got another tight end, Colston Loveland, to match up with Cole Kmet. So where did the first three completions go? Tight end. Yeah. Right down the middle of the field. And the thing that I'll say this, watching Caleb Williams comfortably attack the middle of the field, DJ, you and I know that there's hidden yardage in the middle of the field. If you can be good at being able to play that cat and mouse game with the underneath linebackers where, hey, you put a little cheese right there, and every time they eat the cheese and you hit the dig right behind it, Caleb Williams was doing it. And I think it's not only the concepts, but it was the discipline, the detail, where it was on time and it was on target. That's the Caleb Williams that the Chicago Bears signed up for when they made him the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, and I also love one of the most simple things. You'll hear people talk about it on broadcasts all the time, but like you always say, you want to see the ball go through the hoop. Like I always talk about, yeah, man, just let's ease into it. Let's not jump into the deep end. Let's ease in here. Get me some completions. Let me find a rhythm. And if you can do it on the move, even better, because it just kind of calms you down. First play, boot, layup, flat, like, okay, we're cooking. And then it just kind of gets you into a rhythm, into a flow of a game. And I think really good play callers understand how to get quarterbacks comfortable and help them get into that rhythm. But I'm looking at that team and I'm looking at an interior offensive line that's upgraded. You look out and you across the landscape, and Luther Burden got loose a little bit later. Roma Dunze's had a great camp. DJ Moore, you've got 2 tight ends. Like there is a lot of different ways they can hit you.
Look, man, they are hitting you in. So it wasn't just like, hey, taking advantage of the tight ends. It was Ben Johnson putting a scheme in, but still utilizing the premise, players over plays.
Yeah.
So it was not just the designs. It was, man, okay, I saw the ball early go to the top players, Colston Loveland. I didn't see Cole commit. Oh, DJ Moore gets 2. The only one who didn't touch it early in that drive was Roma Dunze.
Yeah.
But the switch route.
He's been nails all camp. Everything that you hear and see and read has been awesome.
Yeah, the switch route that he ran for the touchdown to Zacchaeus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, DJ. Like,
I didn't even mention him.
I mean, just like they set it up, they run the switch, they catch him in man coverage, they run the switch route. So now they put him in favorable leverage when now the DB's on the outside. So when he breaks inside, he has an advantage. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be problematic.
Mm-hmm.
And look, man, Ben Johnson was in his bag. And it was just subtle because he has so much more. But it was just seeing Caleb Williams in rhythm. I don't want to make too much of it.
Yeah.
But it was super positive watching it. And later on, I just want to mention, I saw Brian Daboll get in his bag with Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
I look, I don't want to say this, but I feel like Russell Wilson is going to be in the corner, like just
trying to survive.
just trying to fight him off. But when we talk about marrying system and player, I'm seeing that in New York with Jackson Dart, just like I saw it in Chicago with Caleb Williams.
So on the Dart thing, I've said this, and I think we're on the same page. We're going to see more Jackson Dart than Russell Wilson this year. It's just a matter of how much Russell Wilson gets before that keys to the car get handed over. But the thing with the Giants is their defense is going to be good, especially their front could be potentially dominant. And so if you're the head coach, you're saying, okay, I know he's young. I know Dart might not totally be ready, but man, just with his leg, just the component of his athleticism, if we can manufacture a couple, we don't need a lot, man. Can we manufacture 17, 20 points, protect the football, play field position. He runs around, makes a couple plays. Like, man, we could be able to save ourselves here.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? And I've said this, and it's funny how quickly time flies. If Brian Daboll is able to lead the Giants to the playoffs with Daniel Jones, he absolutely can do it with Jackson Dart. Because at the time that Daniel Jones led the Giants to the playoffs, he had a 15-5 touchdown to interception ratio. They did a great job of running the ball, taking care of the ball, some selective pass plays for Daniel Jones, but they utilized his legs. What I saw from the Giants the other day was, honestly, man, a hyper version of the Ole Miss offense. Mm-hmm. I saw quicks, I saw slow screens, RPOs. I saw rhythm throws, RPOs, and I was sitting there like, it's not a regular season game. But I'm sitting here saying, if he can go 14 for 16, operating an offense that is very similar to the offense that he ran in college, while utilizing his legs some, why wouldn't you eventually hand him the ball and say, my defense is going to keep the score down. We can get a running game. And I know how to play with this kind of player. I know how to play with an athlete. And we all have a sweet tooth, DJ. There's certain things that we like, right? Some people like pies. Some people like cakes, donuts, or whatever. Brian Daboll has a sweet tooth for an athletic quarterback. You give him an athletic quarterback, he can make it happen. We saw it with Josh Allen. We saw parts of it with Daniel Jones. Jackson Dart, he can make work. I'm confident that this is going to work out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it, and we'll see how long before that move gets made there. I mentioned the other one, though. What was your take on Seattle? Just watching them, to me, I just think that Kubiak system, obviously it's something that Sam Darnold's comfortable with. Back to the defense, play action, boot him. They look good, man. They look like a different offense.
It absolutely looked like a different offense. And, man, it's just so different when you game plan and set it up for your quarterback. And I think it's also easy when you look at what the Minnesota Vikings did to help him get going, to use a continuation of that. Now that there's been a blueprint established for how to get Sam Darnold playing at a high level, don't reinvent the wheel. Maybe change the wheel, enhance the wheel, but don't reinvent it. And that's what it looks like the Seattle Seahawks are trying to do. They're trying to take what he did well in Minnesota and find their own way to be able to replicate that while maintaining true to the way they want to be, their identity in Seattle.
I was trying to find the quote here. So I was doing Seattle show, and we were talking about that offense, and they pulled a quote. I couldn't find it on. Jake Bobo had a quote and saying what he likes so much about the offense and how they're running the ball well and what they're doing. He said the first 10 yards, are our path, whether it's run or pass, are exactly the same. So in other words, like we're going to crack, we're going to motion, and we're going to crack. We're on that same exact path. We're cracking him one play, and 10 minutes later, we're running right by him. Like, but everything from a defensive standpoint, the picture run and pass
looks the same.
Looks exactly the same, man. And I don't know. I was asked how many people do you think do that at a very high level? I don't think there's many that are that consistent with making that stuff. And that goes back to his dad. That's what Gary Kubiak, and that goes back to Mike Shanahan.
So I'm gonna say this, like one of the things, and I've said this because I've seen some things that are very similar to that when I watch the Jaguars, because they're using a version of what the Rams do offensively, what the Rams did back in 2018. Liam Cohen was assistant wide receiver coach, so he saw Sean McVay work that as they rebuilt Jared Goff. And part of what they're doing is trying to make everything look the same to the defense, the run game, the run action, and that includes all of the action, not just the interior core, tight end and line, running back's path, but the receivers, condensed sets, snug formations. You got them inside so they can climb up on the safeties. Well, now, you know what happens after that? They climb up on the safeties, but now one guy runs a post and the other guy runs a deep over. Off play action. Yeah. I mean, how many times are we going to see that? But this is what it is. And for the defense, it's hard because that crack motion and it's almost like the cat following the little ball of yarn. You just get so used to it, you get mesmerized, you fall asleep, and then they hit you with an explosive play. That's what Kubiak has done. That's what Shanahan, that's what they've done for years. And their sons have done it for years. So it's a big part of how they get down offensively.
Yeah, the quote here, Gavin pulled it up. I mean, you guys are going to see it, but it's really cool what Kubes is doing. He's marrying up, at least for just receivers. We're all on the same path for the first 10 yards of a play, whether we're running outside zone or we're running boot action, play action off of it. So, man, that's tough on a defense. The other thing I was going to ask you about that sidebar, I mean, we live in an over league, man. It is a deep over crosser league. We get so much too high coverage. Just, I don't know if we see as many vertical pops, but the explosive plays are coming on all these over routes, man. That's the preseason.
Because DJ, I would say this, as a DB, it is the hardest thing to play. And the reason why, and it doesn't matter if you're in split safety coverage or single high coverage, the reason why is when you run the combination, the post deep over, and if you do it from condensed sets, as a defense, you have to make a decision. How are we going to handle it? Right. So when I was in Oakland, I played with teams, we would call it roll the post. So if I'm on the side where my guy is running the deep over, I let him go to the other side and I'm falling back into the post that's coming from the opposite direction. If I'm the guy on the post, I stay on top of the post, but the safety that's in the middle, he's going to drive the over. DJ, it takes, one, so much communication to be able to pull that off. It takes the identification in the pre-snap game. But what do those guys do? Shift, motion. They make it hard to identify when it could be coming. And then it takes the execution, but that takes reps and practice to be able to pull off. And the reason why you're seeing these things explode in the preseason, so many disjointed jukes playing together, 2s and 3s, 1s and 2s. Everyone is not on the same page in the back end. And when you have a miscommunication, it leads to a home run ball. That is an explosive play. And that is what the offense is banking on.
I was trying to find the term. I cannot find it. You might know it. I don't know why it's escaping me. But that's almost like you would almost refer to it as a grab route or whatever. But Dan Casey, who's a great follow. If you don't follow, if you listen and don't follow Dan Casey, he does a great job, puts out plays all the time. He sends out, you can get on his mailing list. He'll send out a play every single day. He's got thousands and thousands of coaches that subscribe to it. But he was showing some stuff. I don't remember who it was, but what it was like, we are running routes. We are like, it's almost like a grab is what I would just refer to it as, is like, we have a tight end and so we're going to have we have a whole defender. We are running right to him and we are posting him and we are trying to just grab him.
Catch his attention.
And then we are
sitting right behind him.
So what would you call that? What would you call that route where you're going?
What you call it?
It's a
It's a
grab
grab
route.
route. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a grab because you're trying to grab his attention. And all you're looking for as the quarterback is he sits his feet down or he comes towards that. It's
Yeah.
something right behind it. And as a defender, we always talk about it in terms of don't eat the cheese.
Yeah.
If there's something in front of you, there's something coming behind you. So when that thing is in front of you, you got to let it go. Some people use it as the no cover zone. Hey, let that go. We're not going to cover that. If they want to complete that, cool, we'll let them have that. But what happens, DJ, you see it over and over, and you see the completion. And in some point, you're not disciplined enough to stay to it. So you jump it, and then the big thing comes behind it. That's what it comes down to. And you're playing this cat and mouse game the entire game on the quarterback. And if the quarterback is disciplined, you can't win because you have to just let them take the check down. But as defenders, we get tired of seeing completions. And people say this because I've been on both sides of the ball. On defense, we're like, hey, make him take the check down. Make him take the check down. But here's what happened, and I heard this from a quarterback coach. Every completion matters. Every completion impacts the defense. So as we talk about, hey, man, we're going to let them have. But DJ, naturally, if you keep seeing them catch passes, you get frustrated. Then one guy plays a hero, he jumps it, and then that's when the explosive play happens. It comes down to discipline on both sides. If the quarterback is disciplined, he's going to win. If the defense is disciplined, he will eventually win. It's a matter of wills.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me just how, look, just on the crappy, college teams that I played on, like everything was just landmarks, everything was distance, everything was steps. And now it's just like, no. This is where your path is wherever the defender is. You are getting in his vision. Whatever you got to do to get in his vision and grab him. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, because if I can get him, I'm trying to move him. I want him to move. So I want him to lock eyes with me, see me. I sit down. He now reacts to it. Boop. That the second completion that Caleb Williams had to Loveland is kind of an over. But on the opposite side, they sit a guy down right at like 8 yards in front of the linebacker. And the linebacker's like, ooh, I got him. And as soon as he goes, you see Caleb let it go right over his ear for completion.
Yeah.
That's the hard part when you're playing zone. That's the hard part because they're trying to grab your attention. And if you're not disciplined, it does lead to those big, big windows.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's exciting to see what some of these offenses are going to look like going forward. Last thing before we get out of here, Buck. There's 2 players out there. McLaurin doesn't, actually, I should say 3. McLaurin doesn't have a deal. Hendrickson doesn't have a deal. And Micah Parsons still doesn't have a deal. I think we're probably on the same page in that Jerry eventually is going to end up paying Micah Parsons. He just seems to always do that after you kind of drag this whole thing out. But of the other 2, I don't either. But of the other 2, I'm leaning more towards Hendrickson as being the only one that has an actual chance of getting moved. I don't like it, but that would be the only one that I could see changing teams. Now, maybe if you're listening to this, maybe McLaurin's already been traded, but their window where they are right now, I don't see them doing that. And you could make the same argument for Cincinnati, except for the fact that Cincinnati just paid so many guys that's the only one I'm a little bit. Let's see what happens on.
I think Cincinnati's out of cash. They made a decision. They basically made a choice of T. Higgins over Trey Hendrickson. Like when they decided to bring that duo back on offense, they were giving up the pass rusher. And I understand it. And by not being on the front end of it, not getting this deal done last year, the previous year, what they did is they waded into waters that now they can't swim in.
Yeah.
Because when Myles Garrett and TJ Watt signed their deals to push him in the $40 million annually category, and Trey Hendrickson's production is right in line with their production, you don't get the discount. You have Miles Crosby and Danielle Hunter who signed extensions. Max Crosby and those guys. So they're at $35 million annually. DJ, if I'm Trey Hendrickson, that's great. But my numbers are more near the $40 million category.
Yeah.
I can't settle for 30. I was just trying to get 30. Now you have to pay me close to 40. Man, slow. When you go slow, man, you end up paying more in these deals, man. It's better to be on the front end of the situation. I just don't know. They said they want a first-round pick and a player.
They're not getting that.
I mean, what?
I don't think they'll get a first round pick. I think it's a day 2 pick in a player. If you want to go that way, I think you could pull that off. I don't see anybody doing that.
I mean, and because he's still 30, 31 years old, like you still talking about an older player, but you have to pay him, and that team has to have money now. Some of the people have talked about, like the Chargers have the money, they have the cash to potentially be able to do it. The Carolina Panthers have the cash to be able to potentially do it. There's a connection with him and obviously the Indianapolis Colts with Lou Anarumo being there. They got young pass rushers. If they're going for broke and they're in save job mode, like maybe there, but I don't know. I don't know where he gets moved because some of the stuff that you're hearing is pie in the sky. Like him going to Detroit, I think that's too tough. The money doesn't work, but it'd be interesting to see where Trey Henderson lands.
Yeah, we'll see. It's something to keep an eye on as we come down the home stretch here. Jags, who you got this week, Buck?
Miami. Don't expect to see anybody, but not many people play. This is going to be one for all the roster guys trying to duke it out, which can be fun. Trying to figure out how those guys are going to secure the last spots on the roster and the practice squad spots. Be fun to see.
Yep, I'll be up in the Bay Area. We got Chargers, Niners, and that'll wrap up the preseason. And then, before you know it, I'll be off to Brazil September 5th. Get this thing kicked off with the Chiefs.
I wonder what your little sensitive tummy. I wonder what you're going to eat in Brazil.
Oh, I'm packing protein bars. I won't leave the hotel. No chances. My stomach's not it. I mean, look, you got to scout. You got to be able to self-evaluate, Buck. A little awareness. I would love to go out and get some authentic Brazilian food. I would love it. I would love it for about 15 minutes, and then it would not love me, and then I just can't do it.
My God, over there going to eat protein bars.
That's it. I'm going to got 3 days worth of protein bars and maybe some prepackaged cereal.
Oh my gosh. You mean nice and slim though. You mean nice and slim.
Yeah,
come
no
back.
kidding.
You mean nice and skinny.
Yeah, come back as a freaking marathoner. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. We'll see you next time on Move the Sticks.